Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. You know what's better than winning a parking space battle? Accidentally winning the entire parking war. This is the story of how one angry note inspired a guy to take action and made parking permanently better for everyone. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Scooter versus fake no parking signs. Years ago, I was at my girlfriend's house from about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., just hanging out and playing board games. If you know anything about San Francisco, you know parking is practically a competitive sport. There's never enough of it, and finding a decent spot sometimes feels like winning the lottery. So instead of fighting that battle, I rode my scooter over and parked right in front of her building. Now, to paint the picture, this was a 6-unit apartment building with 3 garage doors in a row. Between each garage door was about 3 feet of curb space, basically a little strip between the driveway cutouts, perfectly sized for a scooter. I parked in one of those gaps, nice and neat, and made sure I wasn't blocking a single garage. 2 cars were parked in front of the garages when I arrived, so I knew I wasn't in anyone's way. This is common in San Francisco and perfectly legal. The city is strict about blocking driveways, but as long as you're parked between them and not blocking a garage, you're fine. I'd been to her place dozens of times and always noticed the no parking signs on the building between the garages. I always figured they were just someone's attempt to save themselves a private parking space, but I was confident I wasn't breaking any rules. Fast forward to 2 a.m. I'm heading home, and the same 2 cars are still parked in front of the garages. Nothing has changed, except now my scooter has a note on the seat. And not just any note. This thing was a masterpiece of anger and self-righteousness. It read, "I'm wondering if you are illiterate, have a poor sense of spatial recognition, don't care if your bike is damaged when I have to pull out of the space since you have not left me enough room to do so safely, or you don't care if you are sighted or towed. Move your bike before you are sorry you ignored the no parking sign and don't park here again. There are many other available spaces for you to park." I actually laughed out loud in the middle of the sidewalk. The sarcasm, the rage, the absolute certainty that they were in the right, it was too good. I kept the note, took it home, and it now lives prominently on my refrigerator for guests to admire. Honestly, if it weren't so petty, it's the kind of thing I might have written myself. Except I make sure I'm actually right about the law before threatening people. The next day at work, my curiosity got the better of me. I decided to look up the parking codes for San Francisco just to be 100% sure I hadn't been in the wrong. Turns out, not only was I legal, they were the ones breaking the law. According to city code, you cannot park in front of your garage if you live in a building with more than 2 units. Those 2 cars I saw, totally illegal. And you can't just slap up a random no parking sign wherever you want either. The city only recognizes signs that are actually installed on the garage doors themselves. Armed with this information, I called SF311 and filed a report. A couple weeks later, the next time I went to visit my girlfriend, I noticed something glorious. The bogus no parking signs that had been on the building for years were gone, completely removed. And for the first time, I didn't see a single car parked in front of those garage doors. It was beautiful. I'll admit I felt a tiny twinge of guilt for the other 2 tenants who also lost their illegal parking spots because of this one entitled note leaver. But then I remembered how smug and threatening that note had been, accusing me of being illiterate and warning that I'd be sorry if I didn't obey their fake rules, and that guilt melted away. In the end, all it took was one passive-aggressive note to make me dig into the law and accidentally fix years of bad parking habits for the entire building. So thanks, Karen/Kevin. Not only did I keep parking there, but now no one can park in front of those garages ever again. Imagine writing a Shakespearean tantrum about a scooter only to end up banning yourself and your neighbors from your own driveway. Truly a masterclass in shooting yourself in the bumper. And our second story, free wardrobe, entitled woman, and a little revenge. A while ago, I was feeling generous. I'd bought some new furniture for myself and decided to give the old stuff away. Put the ad up for the wardrobe and got a message almost instantly from a female saying she wanted it. After a bit of back and forth about size, her scrupulously going over every image, asking about minor scratches or marks on this free wardrobe, she confirms again that she wants it Sends me her address and says it has to be at her place before 5 p.m. Sorry, I'm not delivering this as well. This brings on a tirade of semi-insults at me for offering a free wardrobe without delivery, and if she had to come get it herself, it's not really free. She also states if I got it from a furniture store, they would offer free delivery. This goes back and forth a bit until I finally think to myself, I'm not doing anything great right now, and it does get rid of the wardrobe, just deliver the bloody thing. So I tell her I will bring it after all, which seems to shut her up. I load the wardrobe into my ute and drive the 45 minutes to her place. Pull up in the driveway and she comes storming out the door. Well, it took you long enough to get out here. Seriously, I just crossed the city at peak hour traffic in 45 minutes. I was impressed. I untie the straps and put the wardrobe on the ground. She's inspecting the wardrobe like someone would inspect a car coming fresh from the repairs, running her hand over it and tapping it. Looks to me and says something to the effect of, it'll cost me about $50 to get this sellable. I'll take it for $25. I chuckle and remind her it's free. She doesn't have to pay for it. She tells me no, I have to pay her $25 to take it or she won't be able to make money reselling it. Penny drop on my side and bring in my temper. I pick the cupboard up and put it to the side of the driveway and tell her which crevice she could place it in. Walk around and hop back into my ute, about to reverse out of her driveway, and she pushes the cupboard back in my path, screaming, "You're not leaving until you pay me." I put it in reverse and ran the bloody cupboard over, leaving a pile of broken wood behind. Petty move on my behalf, but felt much better driving home. And our last story. Yeah, I've lost everything here. Hello everyone, posting this here because if there's any place for a story like this, it's definitely r/entitled people. This happened in the U.S. in a small town with that typical suburb where every other person is a manager in their own head, and looming over it all is an HOA with a queen of local rules, and of course that queen's name is Karen. Saturday afternoon, parking lot by a wine and spirits. The store tried to act premium, but inside it was the same shelves as anywhere else and the smell of cheap cardboard. I was standing outside smoking and waiting for a friend who was on his way. It was hot, the asphalt was shimmering, people were hauling bags of ice and discounted bottles of wine, a normal scene before a backyard party at someone's house. A white Range Rover pulls in with perfectly polished rims. The door opens and out she comes, hair in a tight updo, chunky framed glasses, a bag you carry so everyone can see the logo. Behind her, a guy who looked a good 20 years younger. Expensive hoodies, sneakers, a gaze drifting somewhere past the horizon. He kept giggling nervously for no reason. In case it matters, he did not seem sober. Karen scanned the area like it was her private campus. When her eyes settled on me, I already knew what was coming. She made that signature step where the heel lands like it's stepping on someone else's dignity and stopped almost face to face. "You, yes you. Why are you standing here ruining people's vibe?" she said in the tone you use to yell at a dog that climbed onto the couch. "I'm just waiting for a friend," I said. "If I'm in the way, I'll move." "Don't play games. Where's your cap? Where's your name tag? You're all the same here, zero service and smoke right in my face. My husband owns the company that runs this place. I'm a customer, and I'm not going to breathe this." She gestured at my cigarette like it was a nuclear reactor. "I don't work here," I said as evenly as possible. "I'm literally just waiting for a friend. Sorry for the inconvenience." I took 2 steps back. I didn't want a scene at all. In moments like this, the best move is to step off the blast path, so I decided to walk a bit farther away. But Karen didn't wake up that morning to skip a performance. She took the most important step in the I run everything playbook. She followed me. "You ruined my mood," she said, "and you'll thank me when someone teaches you the rules." "Hey," she snapped at the guy, "give me that." He was holding a huge bottle of Coca-Cola. She literally snatched it from his hands. I had my back turned to her at that moment, so I didn't have time to think before the bottle flew. Her wrist arced like a javelin thrower's. Distance about 5 paces. Impact square to the back of my head. My vision went dark. I instinctively threw my hands forward and still, hello, paving stones, ended up on my knees. I scraped my nose a bit. I didn't crack my skull, only thanks to reflexes, but my ears were ringing from the hit. I heard shouts, a couple of "oh my God" from the doorway, and someone laughing as they recorded on their phone. "What are you doing?" I hear a man's voice nearby, and a familiar car screeches to a stop beside us. My friend runs up to me. I see him lean down, assess if I'm okay, then turn to Karen. "Are you insane?" he says. "You just threw a bottle at him." "Don't raise your voice at me." Karen stood even straighter now. "Who even are you?" "You're both," she searched for the word, "staff. My husband will destroy your little careers. You'll regret ever showing up here with a cigarette." People were already gathering in a semicircle. Someone whispered, "That's the HOA lady." The guy with Karen stood off to the side, shivering like he was freezing. Every so often he'd sniff sharply, like checking whether he still had a nose. "Ma'am," my friend took a step toward her. "Step back, now." "You don't tell me what to do," Karen snapped. "I make the rules here. I'm a customer. I'm the wife of the owner of the company that supplies goods to small stores like yours. "Enough," my friend said, and his tone changed. He stepped just close enough that her eyes flickered for a second. "Police." Karen laughed, but the laugh turned into something else when my friend placed his hand on her wrist, confidently, without hesitation. That was the moment when the crowd stopped being a crowd and became witnesses. Some stepped back, others edged closer, more phones came up. "I said don't touch me." Karen jerked hard, tried to pull away, caught my friend's cheek with a nail and left 2 red marks. "My husband will be here in a minute, and you—" "Stay where you are," he repeated, and with a quick motion brought her hands behind her back. "You're under arrest for assault and resisting." "You have no right," she screamed. "You're nobody. You don't even have a uniform." "A patrol is on the way," he said. Then to the guy, "Do you have ID on you?" The guy took a step back, then another, then spun like he was looking for a way to run. That was the worst decision of the day. 2 bystanders instinctively moved between him and the cars, and my friend took the guy by the elbow. 5 seconds, and neither of them was going anywhere. At least not in the wrong direction. "You're all out of your minds," Karen shrieked. "You'll all be out of a job." A siren, closer now, holding the back of my head. I could stand by then. Someone brought napkins from the store, someone else a small first aid kit from their car. "Here you go, man," said a bearded guy in an NFL shirt. "You'll be good as new." For the first time that whole time, I actually found it a little funny. When the squad car arrived, it was clear the show was over. Quick radio chatter, a few clarifications, questions for witnesses, cameras that had captured everything from different angles. Karen screamed for another minute, then 2, then just stood there with her jaw clenched. The guy was silent and stared at the ground. At the station, everything turned almost quiet. Paperwork, reports, photos of my friend's scratched cheek, my scraped nose, the Coke bottle, and a bag as evidence. Karen sat in a chair staring at the wall, repeating every so often, "You don't understand who I am." With each minute, the phrase sounded emptier. And then her husband walked in. Suit, cufflinks, a face without a single emotion. He didn't look angry. He looked like a man who'd come to sign a document that had been prepared a long time ago. "Mr. Grayson?" the desk officer asked. "Yes," he said. "I was told my wife is here." "She's being held for assault and resisting," they explained briefly. "There was also a companion, likely under the influence. We'll need your information as next of kin for notification and processing." "I understand," he said, setting a thick envelope on the table. "And this, you'll probably find it useful going forward. I hired a private investigator a few months ago. I'm sorry it came to this, but—" he paused just long enough for a breath. "I knew an incident was inevitable. I'm tired of her special status. The envelope has photos, reports, dates, the name of this companion, and more." I'm no expert in family drama, but even I could tell he'd rehearsed that conversation in his head for weeks. He didn't shout, didn't excuse her, didn't plead. He just put a period at the end of his sentence. Karen turned her head and for the first time that day truly fell silent, not because someone answered her, but because she didn't know what to say. Her favorite line about "my husband, the company owner," evaporated into the air like the smoke from the cigarette that had offended her so much. After that, fast. Lawyers, court, hearing, surveillance video from the store, witness statements, medical photos, the PI's report, a prenuptial agreement spelling out in black and white that infidelity and violent behavior meant losing all perks and marital assets. As the victim, I had to attend just enough hearings to be sure. Sometimes the system actually works. A few weeks later, the verdict came down. Karen was found guilty of assault and resisting. She got a fine, mandatory anger management, and 90 days of community service. Her companion got his own set of charges, substances, and minor offenses. And the husband filed for divorce and, judging by how he walked out of court, got exactly the outcome he wanted. The house stayed with him, the cars, his bank accounts, frozen for division with no surprises. I saw her once more in the morning on my way to work. I stopped at a red light by the city park. A crew in orange vests was washing the pavilion windows. Karen stood on the steps holding a mop, blinking like it was the sun's fault that morning was, in fact, morning. She lifted her head, scanned the intersection, met my eyes, and looked away. No yelling, no, "You don't know who I am." No Range Rover. I hope Karen learned at least some kind of lesson from this story, but at least the husband walked away free with all his money. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.